I knocked up a girl at 15 and had to pay her to keep the pregnancy. She cut all ties and I took care of the kids. Now she wants to get back into our lives. When I was 15, I went to my first party and ended up losing my first time to a random girl. Soon after, I found out she was pregnant. She wanted to terminate, but when my parents found out, they were against it. And they ended up convincing her to keep the pregnancy. And in exchange, we agreed to pay her for it, let her sign away her rights, and never bother her again about the matter. And that's what happened. After my twin boys were born, she signed away her parental rights, we paid her, and we never bother her again. We were well off, so I had a nanny, and it never hindered my education in college. When I was 22, I met my now wife, Hannah, who was 20 at the time. I instantly fell in love with her. She was beautiful, very smart, and oddly skilled with knives. She was caring, and after some time into our relationship, I told her I had kids and she was fine with it. Later in our relationship, she met the boys and they quickly fell in love with each other. We got married at 25 and 23 and she moved in. The boys loved and cared for her. They would nap with her. And even during her periods when she experienced bad cramps, they took turns taking care of her. They would give her lots of kisses and hugs, and I was truly happy to see my three favorite people getting along. I'm a pale man with white hair, and my boys' favorite that while my wife is a dark-skinned woman, once my wife dropped off, the boys kissed them, and their classmates picked on them for having a dark-skinned mom. In retaliation, they claimed she was their nanny. We discussed it, and my wife chose never to accompany them to school again. My wife has always dreamed of taking a trip with her kids, a dream she had since childhood, when she went on such trips with her parents. She told me about it, and we went together to visit the place first. She hadn't seen it in a long time and wanted to make sure it looked the same as she remembered. Additionally, she wanted to avoid any trust issues since the last time she suggested a place she used to love. We ended up in an X-rated place for disabled people. She was even more excited to take the boys, and she made matching clothes for them, with the boys helping her. 5 months ago, I celebrated my 7-year wedding anniversary with my wife and posted about it. It was great until one of my kids' classmates found it and showed it to the rest of their class. As a result, my boys started getting picked on for having a dark-skinned mom. They were lashing out at my wife, saying very racist and disrespectful things to her. 2 months later, I received a call from a woman claiming to be the mother of my children, and surely enough, it was true. We'll call her Bella. She came back expressing a desire to check up on the boys and see how they were doing. I talked to my wife about this, and she thought it would be good for the boys to meet their biological mom. They met, and a month later, my wife's trip was approaching. The boys suggested that Bella come along, but there were only 4 tickets. This trip had been planned and booked 3 years prior, making it difficult to accommodate a 5th person since most of the events had sold-out tickets. My older son suggested that Bella come instead of my wife, since it's a family trip. My wife started to beg and plead with them, stating that they had been planning this trip for a long time, and it was supposed to be their trip. Comment to be tagged in part 2.